I think I said in a previous video that we're actually gonna do a few labs from the cloud security section here on AttackDefense. So let's just start from the very beginning. Let's go to IAM, which is Identity and Access Management, and just pick the first one here, see what it's about. So this is actually the first time I'm seeing them as well. So I'm probably gonna learn as we speak, especially if I get stuck. So, and of course we have the lab walkthrough video, and right now as we speak I'm actually doing a walkthrough of it as well. So in this era of cloud computing, from individuals and enterprises to large conglomerates, everyone is migrating to the cloud, and that's exactly true because a lot or a big portion of the internet is hosted on Azure, Amazon Web Services, or Google Cloud, plus the rest of the gazillion other cloud providers. Now, with this comes an unseen threat because cloud environments are different from the traditional infrastructure. That's also really true. So, with millions of active customers, AWS is one of the most popular cloud service providers. And due to the same reason, it is of prime importance to hackers. Gaining access to one such corporate AWS account can cost a company billions of dollars. And that's actually really true. Again, as you might be surprised. So, I remember a few years back when I worked with a company, they had multiple products. So, this was an IT company. And I remember that back then their monthly billing to the AWS was in the order of tens of thousands of dollars. So whoever got access to that root account, and that was not actually very secured, um, might have caused compromise, which is why it's really important to protect access to corporate AWS accounts and never actually do stuff from the root account of AWS. Alright, so moving on. Using the access credentials, enumerate users, roles, and policies on the AWS accounts. Click on Run to start the lab. Click on the lab link to view the access key, the secret key of a read user account. So this is probably more instructive than actually red team stuff. So let's see what this is about. And it says level easy, and this is the first time I'm actually doing this. So total lab runs equals 0. Using the access credentials, enumerate users, roles, and policies. So we need to enumerate users, roles, and policies, having the access key ID and secret key of a read-only user account. Alright, now clicking on the lab link, let's see what we've got here. We've got the login, click on the login, so we have the region, we have the username. So this actually takes us to AWS, and this is actually pre-filled with with one of my AWS accounts. So username student, account ID, we're gonna delete that. Then we have the password here. Account ID or account alias. Would this be it? This be it? Maybe sign in using root user email. Yes. So, again, username, sign into a different account. No, I mean this is actually username, next, again, username, password. Why wouldn't this work? Interesting. So let's actually open this in an incognito window. Alright, so it actually pre-fills it with this ID. Okay, so that's where I made the mistake. And then we copy the password. Should be logging in. Okie dokie. Now what we have to do is enumerate users, roles, and policies. So we are in the account. We probably want to look at the users. So let's see, where do we see them? Let's look at the My Account. So this is actually an exploration of the AWS. All services. I don't have too much of an experience with AWS. So going back to home, we can look at, yeah, so it's probably here in the identity and access management. We want to see, again, we want to see the users, roles, and policies. Users, so click that in a new window. Roles, of course, and policies. So it's all in the IAM Dashboard. So you navigate to IAM Dashboard, you can also see the user groups. So you have the users, the roles, the user groups, the identity providers, and customer managed policies. So, and of course you have some alerts. And I was telling you about my experience with the company back in the days. The root user for this account does not have MFA. As a matter of fact, that user account had MFA, and still, I believe MFA, multi-factor authentication, can still be bypassed. But anyways, we enumerate the users. So these are the users. We can see sometimes when you have the access key age here, as you can see, you have the exclamation within the red. This actually nudges the administrator to actually send a notification to the actual user to change their password, or not only just send a notification but actually make the user unable to do anything unless they change their password, if I'm correct, which is good on behalf of AWS. Then you have the password age, last activity. So for a manager, for a user role of manager or a root, this is actually good way to view the user base. And of course, as you can see here, you have the roles in the side panel here. So as said, in this case you have this user with their password, which is 172 days old, and they also have multi-factor authentication. Again, you have users with their passwords recently updated. Is there anything we can do about these users? Of course, you can generate policies, delete user group tags security credentials. Alright, so anyway, this is beyond the scope of this video. We've enumerated the users, which are 29. Wasn't it that we had more users here, for example? No, so we have 29 users. We have 86 roles in this case. We have let's look at one in particular, API Gateway Auth Invocation. See what's it about. And these roles have attached policies as well as who or the users that have these roles, trust relationship, tags, access advisor, revoke sessions. So this is this is actually the policy. Let's go back to roles. Let's look at so we can see the last activity, trust entities, and the name of the role. We have multiple roles, of course. We have 86. Let's see if we can display more of them on a page. Let's say 100 roles. We can also display the path, role name, description. Let's do the description as well. Save preferences, trust entities, description. So we have one with description here. So the AWS console is like pretty straightforward, pretty good when it comes to convenience and user interface, actually user experience. Service linked roles used by AWS to enable integration. Anyways, this is how you access the user roles. XXE PHP role, what's this about? You have the path, you have a policy which is applied. The policy is Lambda basic execution role. So the policy name is actually straightforward. Lambda basic execution role. In this case, the user who's got this role according to this policy is probably allowed to do basic execution of Lambda functions. So basically it's allowed one of 285 services. Access level right. So that's what this policy is about. We could actually probably attach this to a certain user, for example. So if we go to users, let's say this user, let's click on it. You could add permission, and then you could attach, for example, this XXC. Let's see, how do we do that? Where was it? Add user to group, XX, so not to group, but attach existing policies. So XXC, what was the policy? Maybe the policy's name wasn't XXC. AWS Lambda basic execution. So in this case, going back, AWS, Lambda, basic execution, and we could simply attach this review, add permission, and this is how we would actually add the permission to this specific user. So anyways, back again to our attack defense. We've used the credentials, we've enumerated the users, we've looked into the roles and into the policies. And I think that that's actually it. There's not much else. But of course, there's a lot to look into here when it comes to identity and access management. So for someone who's actually handling the AWS account of a larger corporation or of a certain corporation, they have a lot of room when it comes to managing access and permissions, and of course monitoring. So this would be more likely suitable for those who are in the blue team, for example. We also have access reports, we have access analyzers, credential report, organization activities. These are all interesting stuff. Now going back here, let's see what their walkthrough is about. Are they gonna talk in the walkthrough? They don't talk. They just so let's actually see, are they accessing it differently? Yeah, I think they're accessing them via the command line. So in this case, you would be able to access it. So we have the console. You could actually access it via the command line using the AWS command line interface from the terminal, of course. Let's look into the manual and see if they're doing that. How many minutes? 17 minutes. So this is a very lengthy walkthrough, 29 pages. So they're signing in, they're looking into IAM Dashboard like we did. They're looking into the user groups. Check the user security credentials. We've looked into that. You can see their SSH keys. What else? You can look at the policies like we did here in the IAM. What else? You can enumerate the policy. We've looked into that. Remember the Lambda function. You can look at the user roles. Check roles trusted entities. Inline policies, so they actually go more in depth. So this is what I was looking for. Command line interface based enumeration. Okay. Now, let's say you have the AWS command line interface. Let me see if I have it installed here. So AWS, nope. Let's actually do bash AWS, nope. What if I do, it's not pip, apt install AWS, sudo apt install AWS. Do I know my password? I don't think I know my password. I actually knew my password. My Kali Linux right now is actually doing some work, so I cannot show you what's there. Anyways, you would actually do AWS configure and copy the username. So you don't even have to copy the username. You copy the key ID, which is this. Then you copy the secret access key, and then the default region, which we have it here, Southeast Asia Pacific. Output format, that's not really interesting. And then AWS IAM list users. So this is how you do it via the command line interface. You look at the policies. You can look more in depth. You can look at the SSH keys. What else? List virtual MFA devices, if there are any. There's a lot of stuff that you can do using the AWS IAM. All right. And of course, if you are being stuck, you can just look into the reference here, which is why documentation. If you're a penetration tester, if you're someone who hunts for bugs, there's a lot of jam, there's a lot of juice, there's a lot of diamonds in documentation. I've said this in a previous tweet or rant. People don't actually read documentations. If you do read the documentation, you can find, for example, if you're someone who does security research, you will be able to find a lot of things that most people don't find, because most people use tools and they get basically the same results. So don't be like everyone else. Do your diligence. Spend your time reading boring stuff, because it will take you further down the road. Alright, I guess this is it. I think there's a lot of stuff remaining. We can just mark this as complete. Total lab runs 1. And then we can stop this. Stop this too. Okay, and then if we look back into IAM, we'll probably look into, so this was completed. We'll probably look into the other ones in previous videos. So for IAM, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 12 labs as of right now. And as you can see, these are very realistic. Then when it comes to AWS, we have S3 as well. And here we have more labs. Then we have the databases, a few more. The API gateway, which is really interesting. And what I'm more excited about is to getting into Lambda. And there's a lot of stuff in here, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Plus there's probably also some CVEs when it comes to Lambda. So I think web app CVEs. Anyways, a lot of stuff for future videos. That's it for now.